I'm losing patience. I don't be fucking around with no basic. I hit it once and then replace it.
All right, welcome to module number 5. This is the last module. I'm gonna cover automation, I'm gonna cover effects, I'm gonna show you cool things that you can do, delay throws, stutters, reverse reverbs, and a bunch of other cool tips and tricks, as well as explain what you already heard with the reverbs, delays, and my fattening double chain. So let's just get right into this. I'm gonna go ahead and play the vocal that you just heard and explain the effects that are going on.
Counting racks, I'm losing patience. I don't be fucking around with no basic. I hit it once and then replace it.
So there's delay, there's actually 2 delays, a reverb, and then this doubling fattening chain on there. The first delay is a ping pong delay. It's a fast kind of delay that kind of makes your vocal sound a little bit more expensive, like there's something going on there. The next one is a super fast, what I call a slap delay, to give depth. It's not necessarily for you to hear, it's more so for you to feel and to bring the vocal back and make it sound deep. And then from there you have reverb, which, takes it, and puts it into an actual space. And I'm using Altiverb, which is a amazing reverb, which I'm going to talk more about coming soon here. And then I have my fattening chain. This fattening chain is basically lifted from Dave Pensado. He has a really amazing doubling chain that he uses on all his lead vocals to kind of, push it out of the center and make it just a little bit wider and give it that professional sound. So with that being said, let's just take a listen to everything without hearing the lead vocal in, but you can still hear the effects. So I'm gonna just set this to no output.
Counting racks, I'm losing patience. I don't be fucking around with no basic.
All right, so for this delay, I'm just using a regular stock plugin. This is the Mod Delay 3 from DigiDesign, Avid, whatever you want to call it. And you can see my settings up here. It's a ping-pongy delay. One side is faster than the other. And it's really there just to give that kind of bounce to the vocal, to make it sound a little bit more expensive, if you will, and, give it more width when it's going left and right, so.
I hit it once and then replace it.
This is that fattening chain. Here we have a doubler by Waves, very standard plugin, to give some width. So it has a left and right, essentially delay that is being detuned and tuned. And also the shape of it is different with the EQs and stuff like that. So it's giving that width. It's going so fast that you wouldn't even hear it. It's a delay that is so fast that it's more so giving spatialness than actually hearing the left-right ping-ponging, if you will. From there, we have another EQ, removing the low end, basically the stuff, the mud out of the fattening chain. And then we have the S1 Imager, which is doing some mid-side as well as some other spatialness, doing some stereo imaging. There's a lot of stuff under the hood of this plugin that I necessarily can't even explain to you, and I can only hear what it does. But I'm widening the delay, the double signal quite a bit to give it a little bit more width and make it, extremely wide and give it that vibe, so. This is, like I said, from Pensado directly, so I didn't make this stuff, but I'm showing you exactly what it is, and I've tweaked it here and there.
I hit it once.
So this is that slap delay I was talking about. It's very fast, it's very dark, and it's really only there for feel. It's not something you would necessarily hear.
Counting racks, I'm losing patience. I don't be fucking around with no basic. I hit it once and then replace it.
And it's very light. You can hardly hear it because it's hardly in there. And it's really for depth. Lastly, let's get to the reverb, the most exciting part for me of this chain. So I'm using a long EMI 140 plate. This is a typical plate reverb, and it's in Altiverb, which means this is a sampled real reverb using algorithms to code basically the impulse response of that reverb. So this is a impulse response. You'd shoot a pistol in a room, something without an actual bullet in it, and then you would take that and pull that response. Obviously you have a microphone on one side recording the actual reflections of the room. And so from there, they're able to approximate the room with this sampled impulse response of the room. With a plate reverb, they're sending signal to it, something with a lot of transient, and then recording the reverberations of the plate and using that impulse response data to feed this algorithm, which is able to recreate that room on any of your vocals using impulse responses. So this is an amazing plugin. It's really deep. You can literally put a vocal anywhere you want. I'm using a piece of gear, but you could go to the Sydney Opera Hall if you want, or any number of these different venues. There's religious places, there's chapels and churches and mosques. You have professional studios, you know, really famous places, the 20th Century Fox scoring stage here in LA. If you're doing strings, it's an amazing plugin to put instruments, vocals, any sort of real tangible thing and putting it into a real tangible place. So, you know, things like vocals, they sound amazing through this plugin. And then also you have the fun stuff for post, cars, trains. You know, I could put Fuzz Rico here into a Honda if I really want, or, you know, what else we got? A fire truck. But yeah, this plugin is an amazing plugin. It's not cheap, just like any of these other plugins I've showed you. I've showed you thousands of dollars of plugins. This particular one, the XL bundle, costed me $1,000. So this stuff is not cheap. What I'm showing you is for the professional or someone with the budget to go and grab these plugins and take their vocal to the limit, you know what I mean? And that's what I'm showing you here today. But let's keep it moving. I'm gonna show you some delay techniques. These are what we call delay throws. Let's go ahead and unmute all this and let's take a listen to our vocal back in again. So let me put this back to the proper Vox bus.
Counting racks, I'm losing patience. I don't be fucking around with no basic.
So I'm gonna use this delay throw. I've already made this and I'm gonna tweak it obviously to fit the vocal. But yeah, it's another ping pong delay. It's slower, so it'll go left and then it'll go right and then it'll go left and it'll be super obvious. So I'm using this as a throw, as an obvious delay. You know what I mean? So at this point, I'm doing this for creative purposes. This is not something that I'm doing for spatialness or anything. I'm making it obvious to have a very pop sound. Pop tracks use a lot of delay. And so, you know, you'll start to see what I'm talking about. I'm going to go ahead and show you the other plugins. I'm compressing it. I'm putting some more auto-tune on it. And this is because in my delay plugin, I'm actually shaping the vocals. If you can see, I'm cutting everything 7K and above. I'm cutting it out. And then from there, I'm using a chorus plugin. This is a Air Chorus. This is already in Pro Tools, comes stock. And then lastly, I'm doing a radio effect on it. If you can see here, I'm cutting out all the high end, all the low end. So I'm really affecting this delay, but you know, it's helping it a center and it's going left and right so that it's not taking away from that middle vocal that is not delayed, but I'm just gonna play it and show you. So typically with something like this, I would throw a single word. So let's listen to this first part.
Counting racks, I'm losing patience.
So patience is the first one we're gonna go ahead and delay. Let's remove all these lanes that I had open. First thing is the delay mute. The delay is muted. I'm gonna unmute it on the patience word, and then I'm gonna actually mute my other delay, my other ping pong. I don't want two ping pong delays going at the same time. You start to lose that delay throw because the other ping pong is, you know, interfering with it. So let's just take this patience and mute one delay and then unmute the delay throw. Now I'm gonna go ahead and leave on the delay number 2, and that delay is the slap delay because it's so quick, it's not even gonna interfere with anything. And it's also mono.
Counting racks, I'm losing patience.
Okay, let's put this on read. Let's try that one more time. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and play it now that I have that patience unmuted and muted, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Counting racks, I'm losing patience. I don't be fucking around with no basic.
Now, a lot of amateur engineers, I see them do this same sort of delay, but they just delay the entire vocal, and it takes so much of the focus away from the main vocal, and it makes it really hard to mix because there's just so much going on. So this is, if you're a professional, you're gonna spend the time and automate your vocals. In fact, if you're a professional, you're gonna automate a lot of this stuff. You're gonna automate your reverbs, automate your delays. You know, there may be a section that you want more reverb on. You might want to hear a reverb more on a certain part. Maybe some instruments come in that duck the reverb, so you might have to turn it up. A real professional is gonna spend the time and go automation crazy. But let's go ahead and automate these delay throws and take a listen.
Counting racks, I'm losing patience. I don't be fucking around with no basic. I hit it once and then replace it. Margiela on me like a mason.
As you can see, it's a really fast process. Once you've gotten used to the process, it's so super easy to do, and it only takes, a little bit of time.
Never chase it. Get the job.
So chase it is the next one. As you can see, I've done this so much, I kind of know what to expect. And I'm almost done with this verse, so.
Then we race it.
And I only want the race it, so I'm gonna actually chop between it.
Race it.
So.
Race it.
And as you can see, there's a little bleed there that I'm not gonna worry about.
Then we race it. In my bag, Birkin bag, worth the paycheck. Paycheck.
Cool. And then I think I got one more.
Please, where's your lay at?
And I just want the layout.
Lay at.
So I got a chop in between, which is fine.
Lay at.
And the reason I do it this way is it's just easier to select this and bring it up and down if I blade it. And then when I'm done, I will heal up the region, so, no harm done. But let's hear it in the track.
Counting racks, I'm losing patience. I don't be fucking around with no basic. I hit it once and then replace it. Margiela on me like a mason. Get the bag, run it up, never chase it.
So I want it really subtle, really. That's the truth. Subtle is always better. It's a little bit loud now, but you can hear what it's doing, and that's the important part. So if you go ahead and look at the timing, I'm doing 8th note delays. Let's listen to it one more time.
Counting racks, I'm losing patience. I don't be fucking around with no basic. I hit it once and then replace it.
So I might turn that up. Obviously, when it goes to mastering, it's gonna go super wide. I usually mess with the stereo image quite a bit on mastering, so this will definitely be too loud, and I'll definitely turn it down later. In fact, I might turn it down just a little bit more right now. And then I'm gonna show you stutters. Now, stutters are in a lot of ways, played out. I'll keep it real. They've been doing it in pop music for almost a decade now. Specifically, Britney Spears records and stuff, they've overused stutters. Even rappers like Nicki Minaj, in my opinion, have overdone the stutter thing. But what I recommend is that you do them subtly. Everything is good if you can do it subtly, you know what I mean? If I do a stutter, it's more for feel and less for in your face and making it obvious. But let's show you a couple stutters.
I don't be fucking around with no basic. I hit it once and then replace it. Margiela on me like a mason. Get the bag.
So on the get the bag, she's switching the flow. This is a great time to always do a stutter, especially with rappers. It's super easy to do. And I'm just chopping a part of the vocal that I want to stutter. Get the. And I'm going to actually put the grid pretty low. I'm going to actually drag it onto my stutter track here. The only thing on the stutter track is basically a radio effect here. There's a cool preset here called DP Radio that is already built in the filter banks by Mick DSP here. And it's a great preset. So what I typically would do is just take a syllable. And I would take the start of the syllable right here. I'm getting pretty specific on it. And I would take maybe 2 to 3 notches. Let's try 2.
Get the bag. Get the bag. Get the bag.
So you can hear it's already stuttering. And then I'm gonna leave 2 spaces in between each of these. So check it out.
Get the bag.
And that is super annoying and super lame and not subtle what I was talking about. So the next part of this is what I like to do, which is pan it. And I like to do hard pans. This moves the stutter out of the way of the vocal, the reverbs, the ping pong delays, all that stuff. And then from there, I like to put fades on it so that the stutter is not super transient and annoying. And it's still in your face because those pans make it super obvious.
Get the bag, run it up.
This is a really fast stutter. I'm gonna show you a slower one. From here, I would shift option 3. That is consolidate. It makes those 4 stutters into one region. And the reason I consolidate it is so that I can put a fade over the whole thing. And now we're starting to get subtle.
Get the bag, run.
And now we can turn it down quite a bit.
Get the bag, run.
And it's really to taste at this point. When you start mastering, it's gonna bring it out. So you're gonna have to obviously tweak these as you go.
Get the bag. Get the bag. Get the bag, run. Get the bag. bag, run it.
So that's pretty good. There's one stutter that I would do. Very simple process if you saw there. Hopefully I explained it pretty well because I went through it pretty quick. But I'll do one more. I'll show you kind of a slower one. That's a fast one. Let's find another good point.
Run it up, never chase it. Get the jag off the lot, then we race it. In my bag, bring it back, worth the paycheck. Louis V.
Let's do the Louis V here. Not maybe the best place to put it, but why not? Let's do it. I'm gonna actually put the grid all the way to 32nd notes. It was at 64th notes. This all really depends if you're doing double time. This whole song is in double time. It's actually a 75, not a 150. But I like to do this for effects. So it gives me more options when the grid's faster like this with effects. So I'm here, I'm gonna make this three boxes long, essentially, 3 30-second notes.
Louis V.
There, you can see how slow it is already.
Louis V on the
And I'm gonna put it 4 again.
Louis V on the
It's slower, but you know, depending on the track, that's what you might need. So I'm gonna pan it left and right, just like I did last time. Pan left and right. Same exact method. In fact, I might move it over maybe 1, let's see.
Louis V on the
So that sounds pretty good.
Louis V on the shit.
Okay, cool. So let's put some fades on it like last time. And then Shift Option 3, consolidate. And then put another fade on it. And then Shift Option 3, once again, consolidate that fade.
Louis V. Louis V. Louis V.
Another thing to see here is also there is a send with a bunch of reverb and a fattening as well. And if you can see FMP up here is selected, that means follow main pan. So as this pans left and right, the reverb send goes left and right as well.
Louis V.
If you can see, really important stuff.
Louis V on the sheets. Louis V on the sheets. Where she lay at?
And those are stutters. There's a bunch of ways to do them. Different people do it different ways. That's how I do them, and I like them really subtle. And I don't do them too much these days, but you know, certain tracks, they need a little more hype to them, so I might do that on the vocal, especially with rappers. Next one is another popular one, especially in EDM. This is called a reverse reverb, and you've heard it on a ton of tracks. You may not understand what it was if you're getting into music for the first time, but a reverse reverb, really, really cool thing. Like I said, with the stutters, very played out if you overdo it. But let's take you through how to do it subtly and how to do it nice. So let's start with this very first bar.
Counting racks on.
And just like the stutters, I like to chop the part I want to start on, which is right here.
Counting rack.
And I'll take that and I'll actually route it to my reverse reverb bus, which I already have set up. You can create one. And then I will record it directly onto this reverse reverb track, like this. And it's set there, and
Counting rack.
the reason I do this is because I'm taking a mono and making it into a stereo. That's the only reason I have to record it like that. And then once you're done with that, you can go ahead and reset it to your Vox Mix bus or whatever you want to send your vocals to. So from there, I'm gonna go ahead and pull Audio Suite. And I'm gonna get my reverb out. I'm gonna use the same one I had. You can use something different if you want something more dramatic. Just like, you know, as I was doing with auto tunes, I'm gonna literally just copy the preset, which I'm using the Wendy Carlos EMT 140 long plate on Altiverb, if you're wondering the specific plate I'm using. And I'm gonna go ahead and hit reverse. And hitting reverse obviously creates reverb in front of it. And if you saw how I did this, I'm gonna go ahead and undo this, is I have to select in front of it, because if I select behind it and I reverse reverb, it's not catching the tail forward. So very important that you select in front of it and hit this reverse button. You can see exactly what it does.
Counting racks.
And now it's super loud and super in your face and not very subtle. So what I like to do, obviously, turn it down on the track, come over here and delete part of it, because when it starts to overlap, that's when it kind of creates a phasiness with your original vocal. And I like to fade into it, so throw a pretty solid fade onto it, and let's check it out.
Counting racks, I'm losing patience.
You can turn it down using clip gain to taste.
Counting racks, I'm losing patience. I don't be fucking around with no basic. I hit it once and then replace it. Margiela on me like a mason. Get the bag, run it up, never chase it. Get the jag off the lot, then we race it. Counting racks, I'm losing patience. I don't be fucking around with no basic.
All right, so those are some of the effects that I would use on the vocals. Hopefully they spice it up and do some cool stuff. There's so many different ways to spice up a vocal. There's even more effects than this, but I'm not gonna cover every single way you can do this. You can start to combine effects. You can use a reverse delay as well as throw reverse reverb on that reverse delay and get a stutter effect with a reverse reverb. You can combine multiple different ideas into this. You can feed a reverse reverb into a delay, you can do all sorts of crazy things if you just kind of use your imagination and, you know, kind of start to create your own style with this stuff, because yes, a lot of this stuff is done. So, you know, it's always about pushing music and pushing creativity and creating new things and making new things cool. So with that said, I hope you learned a lot. In this module, I covered reverse reverbs, I covered stutters, I covered delay throws, and I covered the reverb settings that I use, I covered the fattening chain that I use, and I also went through the 2 delays that I keep on my vocals, which are the slap delay and the ping pong delay. I've covered pretty much my go-to chains, and I've covered some very cool effects that I use on a lot of client mixes and tracks here at Radium. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, you guys, that's the course. I hope you guys learned a lot. In Module 1, we took you through RXing. In Module 2, we took you through melodyning. In Module 3, we took you through auto-tuning and pitch comping. In Module 4, we took you through the mixing of the vocal. And lastly, in Module 5, we went through the effects and automation. Make sure you stay tuned for the bonus module, which will take you through the production, the writing, as well as the recording of the song and show you the beginning stages of the process, all the creative stuff. I hope you guys enjoy, and make sure to give us some feedback. You can reach me at info@radium-media.com, and myself or one of us here will get back to you with any questions or concerns that you have.